Getting super excited now, just a few days away from the Hawkeye Wrestling Club Showdown Open. It's going down this Sunday, November 1st, 4 o'clock with the undercard. That is free on Trackwrestling. Of course, the main card to follow at 6 o'clock. And one of those guys on the main card, two-time All-American for the Hawkeyes, Michael Kemerer. Michael, glad to have you on today. You're wrestling Tommy Gantt. That's a real contrast of styles. Tommy Gantt, super quick, explosive, was an All-American for Pat Popolizio at North Carolina State. When you assess this matchup, how do you view it? What do you know about Tommy Gantt?
Yeah, it's an exciting matchup. I mean, just, I've watched him wrestle since, he's a couple years older than me, so kind of watched him wrestle even when I was in high school. And so, yeah, I've watched him wrestle, and he's an exciting wrestler. Like you said, quick, athletic wrestler. So that's exciting to me. I feel good about my strengths, always do. And I never look too much at the opponent. It's always more about me, my preparation, and my attacks, my scores, things like that. But super excited to go out to a new opponent, someone I've never wrestled. And, we got wrestling back. It's awesome. First competition in a while. So just really excited to be out there and let it fly and wrestle.
I was going to ask you about that from a tactical and scouting standpoint. So you're a guy that really more of the focus is on you. How much time do you spend when you break a preparation cycle down for opponent? How much of it is on the opponent?
Yeah, I mean, for me, very little. It's kind of, maybe pull up a video or two, look at a couple things, and then that's really all you need to see. I think a lot of guys kind of go in and, or maybe not a lot of guys, but people go in, kind of dissect and really like watch every single match and look, for me, it's kind of, okay, there's a couple tendencies, whatever, but, I'm there to do what I do, not really worry about what the other guy's doing.
You have a lot of experience in freestyle?
Yeah, I do. I haven't competed in freestyle the last couple of years, but I used to wrestle in Fargo, all that stuff, all the way back through schoolboy duels. And so I've wrestled a decent amount of freestyle, yeah.
What were some of your favorite memories from those events, from Fargo?
Yeah, Fargo's a great time. I mean, that's where you really get to wrestle all those national guys, and it's kind of like the high school nationals, really. So, I remember, back when I was wrestling, they still had the wall charts too. So I remember, now it's a bracket, but so you kind of didn't even really know who you were wrestling next. You just saw the guys around you, and I was kind of like, all right, I know I'm going to wrestle these guys at some point. So you kind of just wrestle your match, and then you wait and see who you have next, and you wrestle your next match. And super fun though. I mean, it's a great thing for wrestling and freestyle wrestling.
You're one of those Pennsylvania Hawkeyes. Last year, 5 of the 10 starters from Pennsylvania, Murraysville, Pennsylvania, 20 miles away from Pittsburgh. What can you tell me about growing up in Murraysville, PA?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great place to grow up as a wrestler when I did, and their program is still continuing to grow. But, I got started with a lot of good guys around me, Josh Maruka, Josh Shields, some of these guys. Nico Megaludis was a couple years older than me. His dad coached me a lot. So we had a really good youth program that kind of started from that ground level and worked all the way up through high school. Ended up, we won 2 state titles, and it was really just a great program to be a part of.
How did you get involved in wrestling?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my mom kind of wanted me to wrestle. So my dad wrestled, and I had 4 sisters. So I was kind of like, I don't know, ornery, just wanted to get into something, and my mom was like, oh, you should try wrestling. So I got into it. And from there, my dad loved it. I loved it. And we just went from there.
I follow you on Twitter, so I know you're a big, PA sports fan. Favorite teams for you? I'm obviously the Pirates, Steelers. You a Dolphins fan too?
Pirates, Steelers, and Penguins in hockey, but the Dolphins thing, I'm a big Tua fan. I like Tua. I watched him come in that national championship game a couple of years ago, and he led them to a national title, and just been following him kind of since. Like the way he carries himself. And my brother-in-law said he's starting the Tua fan club now that he's getting his first start, and he said I can be vice president. So we're all on the Tua bandwagon. Let's hoping to see him light it up. Just not against the Steelers.
Yeah, exactly. With the Steelers, you got to be pretty fired up with the way they're playing, undefeated. Who are your favorite Steelers? all time?
Yeah, oh, there's so many. I've always loved just the tough Steeler defenses. Like my favorite teams of guys like Paul Malu, and they had James Harrison and big guy Casey Hampton. I mean, they had so many Ryan Clark. They've had so many good defensive guys, and now they've kind of embraced that identity again. They got T.J. Watt. They got Devin Bush. He just went down. They just got so many good guys and super fun to watch them. And now they're 6-0 and. So I'm roommates with Max Muir, and he's a huge Steelers fan from Pittsburgh area too. So every Sunday when we can, we're watching those Steelers, and we're kind of bragging to the rest of the team. 6-0.
How about the Pirates? I know it's been a little rough for them. They've had a couple postseason appearances, here in the last 5 to 7 years. When I was in high school, they were my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. They were always in the NLCS. Those were some loaded Pirates teams. Who are your favorite Pirates?
Yeah, they've got some down years right now, but I was a huge Andrew McCutchen fan. He took them to the playoffs a couple years. I mean, they didn't have a winning season until I was like 15 or 16 years old. They had a big streak there, and so it was tough watching them for a while. So whenever he kind of took the helm and led them to the playoffs, those were some of the best sports years. I mean, just watching them be good was like unbelievable. And now they didn't have a good year this year, but we got new management. I got to stay positive with them, but that's like my team. I mean, if the Pirates are winning, that's probably my favorite sports team.
Okay. Awesome. You said you had 4 sisters. Tell me more about your family.
Yeah. 4 sisters. I got a twin sister too. A lot of people don't know that. She just got married about a month ago. So that was awesome. And I got an older sister. I got 2 younger sisters. They're all super smart. They're smarter than me. They were all dancers growing up. So that's a little bit different than wrestling. I sat a lot of dance competitions. That was kind of the trade-off. I got to go to a few dance competitions. They got to sit in the wrestling gym and watch a bunch of wrestling. So I guess it's a fair trade-off, but yeah, they're awesome and they're super supportive.
How about your mom and dad?
Yeah. Yep. They're great. They raised us, and now my youngest sister actually just graduated high school. So they're kind of in the empty nester stage now. So that's probably a little adjustment for them, but they're good. It's always good. They come out, they're coming out for this event, and they always come out and support. And, they at least my dad, he doesn't miss a single duel. He'll come out to Iowa for every single duel. He'll drive every time. So gotta love it.
Good stuff. Was doing some research before this interview, going back to your high school days, which is a while ago for you, but yeah. 4-time finalist. You were runner-up your first 3 years. Curious, I know obviously Pennsylvania high school wrestling is tops in the country. Who did you wrestle in those finals?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I wrestled Ethan Lezak in the finals. So he's national finalist, All-American.
You wrestled the backpack in high school. What
I did.
class was that at?
106. Started off at 106. Yep, I was the little guy. So yeah, I wrestled him, and then I wrestled 126 the next year. I wrestled Connor Schramm. He's All-American for Stanford, and he's another great guy out of PA. And then junior year, I lost to Vincenzo Joseph. Obviously, most people know him. So
what was that match like?
Yeah, that was overtime. So Vincenzo and we kind of trained together all growing up, and we wrestle all the time. And that year, actually, we were like, I think I beat him, and then he beat me, and then we met in the finals, and then it went to overtime. And I was in on his leg. I don't know if you've seen the match, and I ended up getting pinned out of my own leg attack, which was devastating at the time, as you can imagine. But we always had good battles. I mean, every time we've wrestled, it's been exciting, and everyone, after that match, everyone was like, "Yeah, I know you lost, but that was one of the best matches I've seen," stuff like that, which doesn't really make you feel that much better in the moment, but. We've had some battles, and then senior year I won it. I beat Pat Dugan, who was a top 5 ranked guy in high school as well.
How tough was it? I mean, taking second place 3 times in a row. I mean, that's tough.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's just because you're so close. I remember there were times where I lost, and I was like, oh, I would have rather even gotten third. Just second. Like, you're so close, but yeah, I mean, it's tough, but at the same time, I had a really good support system, really good people around me that, and I kind of knew, that's that's not taking second. That doesn't define me. You know, I know how good I am as a wrestler, how good I am as a person and other things. And, you know, it's one tournament that I kept coming up short, you know, falling just short of my goal. But it was like, hey, I still believe I'm a really good wrestler, and I'm just going to keep getting better and better from this. And it's like people say, you know, stuff like that, it makes you stronger, it makes you who you are. So all those things, you know, I felt like I dealt with it pretty well.
Coming out of Murraysville, recruited out of high school, obviously super successful. What were your options? Where'd you go on visits?
Yeah, so my 4 official visits, I was Cornell, Lehigh, Iowa, and Stanford. So I think those were all back to back weeks there. So yeah, I was kind of a little bit of East Coast, a little bit of Midwest, a little bit out West too. So I kind of had a lot of different things I was looking at, but ultimately decided on Iowa.
Why was it Iowa? And was it an easy decision, or you go back and forth? And I guess I would also ask you, who was number 2? I'm always curious, like the what ifs.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you know, it came down pretty much. It was Iowa and Lehigh. I was super close. You know, people talked about the story about, you know, I was super close. You know, I didn't really have a great experience on my Iowa visit, but I still liked Iowa. Lehigh, you know, I really liked Lehigh. I really liked the coaches, the people there. So I was super kind of torn for a while. Was leaning Lehigh, and then a late visit by Tom. You know, he drove to my house and kind of switched me at the last minute. And you know, then once I committed, I was all in on the Hawks.
You mind me asking, like, what was it? I mean, what pushed you over the edge? You said Tom came out there. I mean, was there something that he did that sealed the deal?
Yeah, I mean, part of the things, just when I went on my visit, you know, I kind of felt like, you know, there were a lot of really talented guys, but I thought like maybe there was a little bit in the culture where I felt like some guys were kind of more into like the partying scene than the wrestling scene, and which I guess is a thing at, you know, a lot of colleges. But to me, I was like, oh man, you know, if I want to be the best, I'm gonna have to do everything right. And I just saw some things there with the culture. So then when Tom figured that out and he came out and drove out and he said like, hey, we're bringing in guys like you because you're the kind of guy that can, you know, change this culture. We want guys like you. And Caleb Young was committed, and he's like, we want people like you. You guys are going to change the culture. You guys are going to, you know, be what it takes to bring us to the top and things like that. And it really just was reassuring, like, yeah, you know, we can really have something good here.
When you went to Iowa, what was it like those first several months in the room? Who were some of the guys that were there that, beat up on you a little bit, showed you the ropes, and just your mindset of dealing with a different environment?
Yeah, it was, I mean, I was super excited to be there, and I had a lot of good partners. Kind of when I came in, it was that Olympic year 2016, so we still had Metcalf, Ramos, and Dennis, and those guys were all competing. So I wrestled a little bit with all those guys. I was smaller back then. I was a 149 pounder my first year, so I wrestled with those guys, Brandon Sorensen, and then it just kind of keeps going on. But those were some of the main guys, and just really learned a lot. Just kind of, you know, those veterans, they can really show you how to come in on a daily basis and get better. And you kind of figure out pretty quickly like the things that are, you know, the expectations and just doing things the right way. Whereas maybe when you're a high school kid, you kind of think you have it figured out, and then you go into that college room and you're like, all right, I'm getting my butt kicked a little here. What do I need to do to make these adjustments? And so I just learned a lot from them. The coaches obviously were awesome. So it, you know, after those first couple months, I really felt like I was like, yeah, this is home. Like, this feels great.
If you could go back, Michael, and have a conversation with yourself, back your senior year of high school, getting ready to go to that Iowa room, what's something you would, knowing what you know now, what's something you would let yourself know heading to Iowa City?
Yeah. I would probably say just take it one day at a time, you know, when you're there, you know, use every day to get better, and you don't have to look too far ahead. Just get better. You know, if you're wrestling a guy, maybe that's, you know, wrestling an older guy that's beating you, you know, just get the best workout you can, you know, fight every position, you know, attack, you know, just stay in there. And, just keep it simple. You don't have to look ahead and think ahead to stuff down the road. Let's just get better today. And then tomorrow it's the same thing and the same thing, and keep building on that.
Is there a teammate that stands out, one of the veterans when you came in that was especially helpful for you?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Gilman was a huge help to me. Just a super vocal leader, led by example too. And then actually my first year in the lineup, I roomed with him on all the trips, going to all the dual meets. And it was really just good to have him as my roommate. He just was a great example, did everything the right way, has the right mentality, all that stuff. And that was super big for my development. And, really gave me even that extra boost of confidence that first year in the lineup. So really learned a lot from him.
And that's interesting because he was a 125 pounder. So, I mean, he's not somebody that you're probably working out with at all in the room.
Right. Yeah. A little bit my first year there when I was a little smaller, I wrestled with him a little bit, but as the years went on, I just kept getting bigger. So then we didn't wrestle as much, but yeah, he was a big leader.
And I did not know that. And before you and I went starting recording on this interview, I told you I was always a big fan of Thomas because I thought he was just a really good guy.
Right.
And I always thought he was a bad guy. Like I thought he kind of had this hard, rough persona. And he's tough, don't get me wrong, but he was just, I just really always liked him. I thought he was just always a super cool guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was awesome.
So your first 2 years in the lineup, you said you're 149 when you get there. Your first 2 years in the lineup, you're at 157 and All-American both years. Then you bump up to 174. I know you had that injury in the mix. I'm assuming, Alex Marinelli being in that mix, one of the guys probably, played somewhat of a role in that decision. Maybe it didn't. Speak to that decision, bumping all the way up to 174.
Yeah, I mean, that second year in the lineup at 57 there, just, the cut was a little bit tougher. It wasn't like I was dying out there. I was making the weight fine, but I kind of could feel that I was going to want to move up, and knew I kind of had a bigger frame. My dad's a pretty big guy. He kind of grew late, so I was kind of like, maybe after the season we'll just kind of see where my weight ends up. And Marinelli and I are great friends, so it's like, we'll figure it out. That stuff always works itself out. Well, it didn't take long after the season where I was well into the 180s and feeling great, and I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about weight classes right now. I'm just going to worry about, I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to get better at wrestling, and, let the cards fall where they may in a couple months here. And it didn't take long. By the middle of summer, I was weighing in that weight range and I was feeling like really good there. And I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to, why would I cut myself back down? I've made all these strength gains. I've made all these wrestling gains. I feel good right now. I'm wrestling with bigger guys in the room, made it a point to wrestle with those 184 pounders, bigger guys. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to commit to this. And, once I committed to it, I was like, that's my weight. And I ended up getting hurt. So I had to wait an extra year to wrestle at the weight class. But I really felt like, once I just embraced it and was like, I'm not going to worry about cutting my body down. I'm going to build myself up and I'm going to feel really good. And I'm going to go in every day with that in mind, and just led to a lot of good development for me.
What did you learn about yourself with the injury?
Yeah, just how you can, it sounds cliche, but you can take things for granted, and how good it feels to be out there wearing that singlet wrestling in Carver. Sitting out that year and watching the other guys wrestle, it was great to cheer them on and see, different guys having success. But it was like, man, I wish I was out there with those guys. I wish I was stepping on that mat right after Marinelli and going out there and wrestling in Carver. And, just things like that maybe in the past, it can, if you're there for a couple of years, it might become routine, but then you get it taken away from you and you're like, man, these are the best days of my life when I'm out here wrestling with these guys. And so when I finally, I was starting to get healthy, I was starting to come back, it was just like, man, this year is going to be so fun. Like, it doesn't even, outcomes aside, just being out there with these guys is going to be great. And it was, and it's been great since. It just really changes your perspective a lot.
Trackwrestling.com this Sunday, the Hawkeye Wrestling Club Showdown Open. Talking with Michael Kemerer. He'll battle Tommy Gantt. In that Hawkeye singlet, you've had some great matches with Penn State guys. And the one that comes to mind, of course, first and foremost, was this past year when you beat Mark Hall. you've wrestled Nolf and Hall. Compare and contrast wrestling those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, two national champions, two great guys. I mean, uh, you know, probably pretty different stylistically. Nolf, high attack rate, a lot of shots. Just wrestles that creative style, and then Hall, he wrestles a creative style too, a little bit more relaxed, real good hips, good positioning. So it just shows you how wrestling is. Two great wrestlers that wrestle pretty differently, even for the same school, and it's kind of just shows how wrestling is, and how you can have, or me and Spencer and Marinelli and Ironman can all wrestle. You know what I mean? It's just
Sure.
how it is. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I always like wrestling the best guys, and those are two national champions there I got to wrestle, so it was awesome.
Recently, NCAA comes out and says that due to COVID, of course, you'll be able to wrestle this year and next year as well. You've been around there a long time. I affectionately known as Grandpa Mike. I remember hearing that someplace. Who gave you the name Grandpa Mike?
I can't remember who said it. I think, so Terry has kind of referred to me as Grandpa Mike, because you got me, and then you got Caleb Young the year below me, and then you got Spencer and Max the year below them. So it's kind of like I'm like the old guy now that's been around a while. There's a couple generations of young guns, Southwest PA guys that have come through there. So I guess that's where it started. And then, once, they talk about, super senior, I'm like, well, what's after super senior? I guess I'll just throw in Grandpa Senior, Grandpa Mike. I don't know. So kind of just went from there and just embracing it. Yeah.
Is that the plan for you, Michael? Wrestle this upcoming season and wrestle next year as well?
Yeah, I mean, right now, just the plan is Sunday, wrestle this match Sunday, and go from there. And then, okay, we got the season coming up. Just the big thing I learned from last year is you try to plan ahead for all these things, and then different stuff comes up. We didn't even have a nationals. So right now for me, it's, wrestle Sunday, and then we got the season coming up, and then go from there. So I'm keeping it super simple. Kind of like I was saying earlier, it's just one day at a time. So that's it.
Give me your favorite Tom Brand story.
Oh man, that's tough on the spot. There's a lot of good stories. So I'm gonna have to, I'll get back to you. I got to think about that one.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to mention, just some guys in your team. Give me, a couple of things that immediately pop in your head. Spencer Lee.
Spencer Lee, professional, freak. He's the best. He's just the way he does things is, that's ideal. If guys come in the program, you want to wrestle like Spencer Lee.
What's something he does, Michael, that is, I don't know if I'd use the word underappreciated, but something he does that, you know what it takes. You talked about the lifestyle before. You're extremely successful in your own right, but what's something he does that, you kind of think, man, that is extremely, it might not seem like it's a big deal, but it's difficult to execute.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's just his lifestyle in general is one that, it's a lot of sacrifice. Like he's given things up to train. He's given up eating crappy food, and maybe in the middle of the off season, or I don't know, just doing things that aren't good for his body. He's not going out and partying or doing whatever. He's super dedicated. He knows what he wants, and he's very strict by what he knows he has to do. So if he knows he has to do this to be the best, he's going to do it. You're not going to talk him out of it. He's super set in his, his beliefs and his principles. And that's a huge thing, I think, that's made him so successwell.
Your roommates with Max Mirren, what comes to mind when you think about Mirren?
No, well, first off, he's got the snake that's been super popular. Everyone knows about the snake.
Miss Hiss is at your place?
Yeah, Miss Hiss is here. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He's been awesome to live with. Just, super hard worker, gritty kid. We always joke about how he's like, I just grew up blue collar or whatever, something like that. But he's a super tough kid, but then super, laid back, funny off the mat. We have a really good time. Joke around a lot, but then when it's time to get down to business, he's up there with the hardest workers on the team. So been great to live with him.
How about Ironman, Jaden Ironman?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a dude. He just loves to compete. He loves to wrestle. I mean, you can just see he gets that big smile on his face like the whole time he's in the wrestling room. You know, he loves to wrestle, loves to compete, and you know that's contagious when someone has the love for the sport like that and the love to be creative. You know, he's a super creative wrestler. You know, that stuff wears off on you, and it's contagious.
And I always try to give the big guy some love. Tony Cassiope.
Yeah, he's another guy that's always smiling.
Yeah.
Big thing with him, he's strong as a bull, man. He's strong, and what can I say? He wrestles like a lightweight kind of, but he's a heavyweight. You know, he's strong, but he can move. He's athletic. He's been great to watch. I'm excited that there's a couple more years of him.
You know, I'm all of a sudden, you know, a little bit confused because Mirren smiles a lot. I've seen you smile plenty. Cassiope's always smiling. Ironman's always smiling. I thought you guys didn't have any fun with the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I know that's the old narrative, right? No, we're having a blast. I mean, it's another thing that's just contagious.
What do you go to school for?
I'm getting my master's right now in finance.
Okay. You got a dream job?
Right now it's just wrestling. I mean, I'm kind of in my dream job right now. I'm wrestling for University of Iowa, and then you know, opportunities down the road I know are going to be there. You know, I take school seriously and always trying to get good grades and do the best I can. And I feel like those opportunities will be there whenever I'm ready for them. But right now I'm wrestling for Iowa. It's the best job I've ever had, you know.
They always say for student athletes, your athletics, your academics, your social life, you can be really good at two of them, not three. You can be really good at two of them. So with your academics, what's really made a difference, you know, for you academically and in time management and your focus and getting it done in the classroom?
Yeah, I mean, I think staying organized, really important, you know, writing things down. I mean, I always used to think I could just remember everything, and then I forget.
You're a grandpa now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting that grandpa memory. So you gotta write things down, stay organized, and then just doing things earlier rather than later. You know, don't be a procrastinator. Just gotta, you know, if you have something that's due next week, you know, get it done now. It's better to be ahead than be behind. And you get that stuff done, and then, you know, then you're in the wrestling room and it's like, well, you know, I don't have a project I'm gonna be working on all night. I already got it done, you know, so you can just wrestle, and, you know, it's great. Got
some rapid fire questions for you, but before that, want to play just this little game. Kids play this with me, and it's kind of fun. Three truths and a lie. So okay. Tell me 4 things about yourself. Can be anything. 3 that are true, 1 that's a lie. Put you on the spot here a little bit.
Yeah, well, I've played this game, and usually I'll use like the twin one.
And I knew that. Yep, I knew.
But now everyone knows that. So let me think. Okay. Let's see. Let me think. Okay, I played football growing up. Let's see. Put me on the spot here. Let me think. All right. I have a sister that lives on the West Coast. I have a sister in the military, and both my parents went to the same college.
I'm going to say both your parents did not go to the same college.
Went to the same college. I don't have a sister in the military.
What was that?
I don't have a sister in the military.
Good stuff, man. Good job, Michael. Good job.
Yeah, there we go. I got it.
All right. Awesome. Some rapid fire questions for you. You talked about, you know, finance. So I'll ask you, what's the best purchase you've ever made? What's the best thing you've done with your money?
Tough question too. You know, a couple of years ago, I got a drone. That was pretty cool.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can kind of fly it around and take cool pictures and stuff like that. And I don't know. It was just something unique. I saw, I had a guy that used to be on the team, Jake Cadle. He was a senior when I was a freshman. He had a drone. I thought it was cool, and I bought it. And every once in a while, I'll just take it out and just kind of fly it around, take pictures of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Nice. What's your favorite music?
Favorite music? I can listen to a pretty wide variety of music. So I guess it really depends, but yeah, it depends on the mood. I kind of like some like more chill stuff. Like I don't know if you know John Bellion. I kind of like that stuff when I'm just like relaxing. But then if I'm trying to get pumped up, I'll listen to some old rock.
Okay.
Mieran and I play Renegade before all the Steelers games because that's like a big song. So
good stuff.
I'm a fan of that.
Spoke about the importance of academics. What was your favorite class in high school, and what's a class you've appreciated at Iowa?
Yeah, math has always kind of been my best subject, so I'd say that's my favorite. That was my best in high school, and then college. I've kind of gotten into like the econ side of things. I have an econ class I'm in right now that I'm kind of liking, so I like that. Just kind of macroeconomics, just seeing how things work as a whole. So I've kind of been into that lately, but I've liked a lot of my classes in grad school, so it's tough to just pick one.
If you could meet anybody dead or alive, who would it be?
Let me think about that. I'll go with Roberto Clemente, the old pirate.
There you go.
He's a pirate legend, but he died in that plane crash, and when he was pretty young. So it'd just be cool to talk to someone like that because he's a pirate's legend.
Number 21, if I remember right, that rocket arm. And I thought I saw something on your Twitter when he just turned 86 or would have turned 86 within the last year. Yeah, he's all that's right with sports, right? I mean, that's Roberto Clemente. Yeah. You can't go wrong there. That's a great answer. If you're going into a back alley in a bad neighborhood, dark out, you gotta get a mile. You're gonna run into some bad stuff. You got one teammate to take with you. Who you taking?
Let me think. Last year I would have said Danny Murphy. I don't know if you know Danny Murphy. He's actually training for the Navy SEALs right now.
That dude talked about him.
I would definitely take Danny Murphy in the dark alley. I think most guys that know him would, but other than that, let me think. Probably I might go with Cassiope because he's not only is he a good wrestler, but he boxed growing up and he's got some hands, I think. So might need him.
You talked about your sisters. You got 4 sisters. You got a twin sister. Who's the one guy on the team you would most trust with your twin sister?
Let me think. Definitely not Mieran. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You said it.
I think I got to go with Caleb Young's the answer. I think that's what most people would say.
That's what most people say is Caleb Young.
Yeah, I can guess that. Yeah, definitely Caleb Young. That's
good stuff. You're going on a cross-country trip. You can take any 3 people, dead, alive. It can be any 3. You're going to watch the Steelers play on the West Coast. You guys are jumping in the car. Who do you want to take on that trip?
Let's see. I will take teammates kind of thing.
It can be anybody. I mean, anybody you want. Whether you've met them, you haven't met them, dead, alive. I mean, anybody.
All right, I'll take Pat Lugo. I'll take him because he's just always a good time. And then I'll take someone random. Let me think. I'll take Michael Jordan.
Nice.
Just see what he has to say. And I'll go with someone else famous here. I'll take Matthew McConaughey. I've been seeing a lot of him in a lot of interviews. He seems like an interesting guy.
Yeah, so he's got some. I don't remember what award it was that he won, but it was a great speech. He's always
Yeah.
got some good stuff. Then, of course, he's the only guy that can do a commercial without saying a word,
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
he's just got it. I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. Mcconaughey's, hey, he's all right. He's all right. Celebrity crush, Michael. Who do you got?
Celebrity crush. I don't know. I don't know now. I probably used to have a little celebrity crush for Shakira, actually, but she did pretty good in that Super Bowl halftime show this year too. So she might still have it, but I'd say that's who, if I had to say someone, yeah, for sure.
You mentioned Cassiope before. I never knew that Tony Cassiope was pretty good with a yo-yo. Talked with Jade Nyerman. He's into chick flicks. Talked with Spencer Lee. Spencer's telling me that he's like carving a bow out of some wood. Like it's like I would have never.
Oh yeah.
What's something, you mentioned the twin before. Most people don't know that about you. Anything else, Michael, about you that just most people would not know?
I don't know if I have anything as exciting as those guys do. Not really. Just I'm pretty good with the sports memory stuff. I feel like if you ask me about some sports guy from the 70s or 80s, I used to be obsessed with reading through stat books and history, all these different sports guys and stuff like that. So I've always kind of had a pretty good memory with that stuff. So if you give me some sports trivia, I might be able to figure it out.
How well do you know those Pirates teams in the early 90s?
I know them pretty well. I mean, I know like Bonilla, Bonds.
Okay.
I'm
gonna give you one. Put you on the spot. Last question. This is pretty tough based on, you're a little younger than I am. 1992, and I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, so
geez.
we had some great series with the Pirates in the early 90s. 1992 NLCS, Game 7, Braves Pirates. Pirates starting pitcher was rolling. Jim Leland pulled him. Who was that starting pitcher? Believe he was the ace of that staff in 92.
I don't think who they would have had then. I know Sid Bream scored that game-winning run.
He did.
Because that gives my dad nightmares, that game. I don't know who the pitcher is.
Doug Drabeck was his name.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I know.
I mean, those Pirates teams were so good. Those were some really good teams. And I always loved Jim Leland, just an old school, stately manager. And he, of course, won one in 97 with the Marlins. But those Pirates teams were good. And Bobby Bonilla, I mean, he got that big contract after 92 with the Mets. And I think he still gets paid by the Mets. It's like Bobby Bonilla Day. Once a year, he's still getting paid.
Yeah. They kind of had to blow up the team, I think, after that. And since then, they haven't made it back, but we're still waiting. We're waiting. It's going to come.
Well, hang in there. That's what a true fan does. The good with the bad. So I admire you for that. Well, Michael, this has been a great time. Really appreciate this, and looking forward to watching you and the Hawkeyes get back on the mat this Sunday. You and Tommy Gantt should be a lot of fun. But really appreciate the time today. Thanks again.
Yep. Thanks for having me.